But one farmer says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
Why do central banks hold it?
Well, it's a form of reserves.
Why don't they hold diamonds?
Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Welcome back to the Junior Small Pay channel. Today we're going to really narrow in on just one specific story and hopefully take some key lessons away for ourselves, because I don't think any bank is immune to what we are seeing take place in India. There is a story that's been breaking the news the last couple of days regarding the RBI, and we're going to talk about it, as well as another article with their involvement in gold purchases. Bank raided, arrests made, RBI still restricts withdrawals. I'm going to remind you guys, you have to stick around for story number 2 on this broadcast. After this article is covered, we cover the real meat and potatoes. So for those of you that hold out and know how to stick around for the good stuff, it's coming towards the end. The crisis has elevated at the cooperative bank recently placed under regulatory restrictions by India's central bank. Multiple branches have been raided and several arrests were made. However, the RBI continues to impose a withdrawal limit, preventing bank customers from accessing their savings. The bank has 137 branches across India. So consider that for a moment, a bank of approximately 137 branches restricting withdrawals for their customers. Bank raided, executives arrested. Since the Reserve Bank of India placed regulatory restrictions on Mumbai-based Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, PMC Bank Limited, more events have transpired. Major developments have led to an alleged approximate $615 million worth in rupees, bank fraud, raids, and the arrest of executives. Let's skip ahead real quick here, see what actually took place. According to information registered by the Mumbai Police, HDIL Group promoters colluded with the bank's management to take out loans. When they were in default, bank officers allegedly used over 21,000 fictitious loan accounts to hide them. The police told the court Friday. The bank did not classify these loans as non-performing assets even when they were in default, hiding information from the RBI for over 8 years. Biggest concern with this is right here. This is the meat and potatoes of what I would be concerned about if I were in India. And this is the type of events that should shake people to the core as far as their blind giving trust in banking. This can happen in the United States. We all know that people in India are no more corrupt than the guys in the three-piece suits here in the United States. We've seen what people here do, and I wouldn't be surprised if similar little criminal activity rings are out there defrauding banks here in the United States right now. They just haven't gotten caught yet. People demand access to their money. Of course, we all do. The RBI announced that it had placed restrictions on PMC Bank on September 24th, including limiting how much customers could withdraw for a period of 6 months. Originally, the withdrawal limit was only 1,000 rupees, approximately $14. Really? $14 is all you'd be allowed to withdraw. However, after many protests, the RBI raised the limit to 10,000 rupees. So like $140. Then, on October 3rd, it increased the withdrawal limit for depositors of PMC Bank to 25,000 rupees of the total balance of their accounts, while other restrictions remain unchanged. The Reserve Bank of India again reviewed the bank's liquidity position, and with a view to reducing the hardship of the depositors, has decided to further enhance the limit for withdrawal to 25,000 rupees, the RBI explained. On Twitter, many users have been pleading with the RBI to allow them to withdraw the full amount of their hard-earned money. They also want the central bank to explain what will become of their deposits at the bank. One user wrote, "We need our entire money back. It's our hard-earned money, so our right to it." Another expressed, "RBI, you already know that increasing the limit is not helping anyone. This is pure hogwash." Some claimed that they have had to shut down their businesses due to this limitation, noting that people are literally begging the RBI to return their money. One user concluded, "It's totally ridiculous that people are begging to get their own hard-earned money from the bank. It can happen to any bank." Responding specifically to the new 25,000 rupee limit, one user exclaimed, "That's not enough. We have all our savings in PMC Bank. Please release all our money." Another user added, "Stop this nonsense of limit on our hard-earned money and let us take all our savings without any limitations." This is my favorite part. You wonder how many people get fooled by these statements and these press releases. And you know these will happen here in the United States. They'll happen in England, in Australia, in New Zealand, anywhere when banks are in implosion mode. They like to release these little, it just always reminds me of the guy behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz telling you that there is no man behind the curtain. You guys all know that. But things like this. Meanwhile, the central bank has issued a statement in an effort to calm the public. RBI would like to assure the general public that the Indian banking system is safe and stable, and there is no need to panic. Period. End quote. No need to panic. Everyone knows what that means. That means rush the bank with a torch and get your money. Look at those people. Do they look like they're not panicking? These are PMC Bank customers trying to withdraw their money. The key is, don't have a lot of money in there. They always say never invest more than you're willing to lose. I would never have more money in the bank than I would be willing to lose also. I think we need to adopt that saying. Maybe broadcast that. Because these banks, you guys remember, I remember looking it up back in 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, during the whole flow of the last economic situation that we went through. And all you had to do was sit down, and if you typed in these words into a Google search engine and clicked news and then sorted by most recent, go FDIC, bank, and then you could type in failure or closure. When you did that and you looked at the news generated, there were banks being closed and seized and failing around this country every single day, more than 2 or 3 or so. And every once in a while I'll go back and I'll check that, I'll do that search. And there haven't been any recently. I think there was one a couple of months ago. So it's not really something that's occurring currently. But during the next full recession that could be inbound, and we'll get to that news maybe in the next video after this, you'll see that pop up. It'll be information that you'll want to check out. Banks that are failing. And again, you're only FDIC insured up to, I believe it's $250,000 per account. But even then, we all know, well, what happens when they don't have that? Or what happens if it's worse than that? What happens if the government can't bail them out? And they can't even give the FDIC the money. Because I believe the FDIC got hit pretty hard during the last economic crisis. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But, let's move on. Now here is some further interesting information related to this story held in the same article. RBI's powers challenged in Supreme Court. The RBI has also placed banking restrictions on all regulated entities, prohibiting them from providing services to crypto businesses, including exchanges. So that looks like they're limiting the money and the flow of it into and out of crypto exchanges. The ban went into effect in July last year, and banks subsequently closed accounts of crypto exchanges, forcing some of them out of business. There's a lot of wealth and a lot of money moving around in India, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, I know the ban took place last July, but I wonder how much further it is affecting those crypto markets today, or if these customers are just looking elsewhere. perhaps it's not going to have that big of an effect. The banking ban has also affected the Pune City Police Department when it tried to transfer INR converted from the sale of the cryptocurrencies seized from an alleged kingpin of a Ponzi scheme. Well, about 1.2 million US dollars worth is reportedly sitting in a bank account belonging to the company that operated a local crypto exchange, which closed down its trading operations due to the banking ban. According to the Times of India, the police has filed a plea with a session court to move the money into its account. Following the RBI ban order, a number of industry stakeholders filed writ petitions with the India's Supreme Court to challenge the ban. The court started hearing the case in detail in August, but the case is still ongoing. Now, banks always like to say, do as I say, not as I do. Opinion: with RBI shopping for gold recently, should you be buying the asset too? Like gold has helped central banks during times of stress, it can help retail investors also. Financial year 2018-19 was a busy year for the Reserve Bank of India, from increased questioning of its autonomy, a premature exit by Governor Urjit Patel, the MBFC non-banking finance company, liquidity crisis, the NPA non-performing assets problem in public sector banks we just read about, a slowing economy, sticky rate cut transmissions to a declining rupee. The news is that in the midst of this mess, RBI has been doing some gold shopping, as well as every single person in India. Now remember, the Indian nation, the people, separate from any bank or institution, are the largest non-central bank gold holders in the world. If you took them as a group and took all of their gold, the people of India are some heavyweight gold stackers. And you can't blame them. I mean, look at what they're going through. I mean, would you trust the banking system there based on what we just read? Hell no. As per the World Gold Council, RBI raised its gold holdings by 52.3 tons in the year ending March 2019. Its biggest purchase in nearly a decade, since it bought 200 tons from the International Monetary Fund in 2009-2010. That purchase right there, that 200 tons, is critical. It's key. It's one of the things I refer to quite often here on the channel when I talk about gold not dropping below a certain key number, valuation in US dollars. That 200-ton purchase from the IMF by the Reserve Bank India in 2009 was done at around $1,100, $1,150 an ounce. Now, no bank is moving into a position of 200 tons of gold at that valuation unless they are absolutely confident gold was going to maintain that, hedge, and even go up from there. It's telling you that these guys weren't dumb. They had a whole team of people probably working on it. And that gold purchase, that 200 tons, really, to me, is a key foundation in what we say here on the channel as being the floor, the absolute floor for gold. This number should make you stop and think, why gold and why now? In 2009, obviously, the global financial crisis of 2007 and 8 prompted the reappraisal of gold's role as a portfolio diversifier and liquidity tool for the central bank. But what could have prompted this change in RBI's attitude towards gold now? Possibly the need to diversify its reserves away from the dollar, away from the dollar, away from the dollar. Get away from the dollar. I love it. There are many who predict peak dollar, but there are more critical reasons leading to this urgency to diversify reserves into an asset like gold. Now, as we read through this article, I need you to take upon yourself the attitude and behavior of a central bank. Treat yourself like your own central bank, controlling the assets and wealth, the dynastic wealth of your own nation that exists within the four walls of your home, apartment, your studio, wherever you are. Perhaps you live in a tent or a teepee or under a bridge or in a box. I don't really care if you're like Diogenes living in a barrel. If you hold wealth, please try to relate to the information we cover here on the channel, and don't look at central banks as being some weird entity that you cannot relate to. Follow suit. Do what they do and hold wealth in the long term. So they're diversifying into gold, let's look at it. Here are some reasons why it's happening now. It seems like a clash for supremacy is at the core of the U.S.-China trade wars, which can be expected to continue taking a toll on economic growth. Weaponizing trade and instilling sanctions seems to be a tendency of the country whose currency is the world's reserve currency and a norm of trade, giving the central bank more reason to diversify reserves. This irrational behavior from the world leadership creates an uncertain economic policy environment which will add to economic deceleration. Countries, in an effort to negate the slowdown effects of the trade war and to boost exports, could enter into a currency devaluation race happening. Central banks, with the agenda of supporting growth, will cut rates, which will mean that real interest rates will be on a decline. This ties in directly with the interest rate discussion we had recently, with a lot of the world economic events that we've covered here recently. So this is all kind of tying some of that together, and we're looking how one central bank is taking action to protect themselves from it. In a world where competing assets like currencies and government bonds are expected to underperform, gold seems like a good investment. Going forward, the overriding theme seems to be that with sluggish growth, a continuing reality, a weaker currency will help, while a stronger one won't. In a nutshell, there will be a situation of competitive devaluation. Devaluation is the beggar thy neighbor policy that can aggregate uncertainties in global financial markets. The biggest beneficiary of the onset of currency trade wars will be gold, basking in the growing supply of freshly printed paper currency worldwide. I've seen far too many people disagree with this sentiment. A lot of people thinking gold's not going to perform that well coming up with all of this, and gold's not going to do this or not going to do that. Again, I don't really care of their opinion on that because they've been wrong in gold's trajectory for over a decade. It hasn't returned to the valuations they predicted, being below 1,000, even below 750, below 8, below 5. So, again, it's going to prevail in this situation, and it's going to do very well. I believe it's going to follow suit with even the type of behavior we've seen palladium take on recently. You just wait. I mean, that's all it is. It's just a waiting game. You wait until even more of a majority and the sentiment changes towards gold. All it's going to take is a little bit more attention, and the supply will not be able to even keep up remotely. The price reaction we're going to see with gold, should there be a European and a United States, when the Western world tends to wake up, the East we all know already has, it's going to really push the price of gold to levels we haven't really seen before, and I think we're going to see chart patterns we've never seen. This article only gets better. Here you read, but is the RBI the only one doing this? No. Central banks around the world have been stocking up on gold, with Russia, China, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Poland, and Hungary taking the lead. India seems to be a late entrant in the camp of gold buyers. Countries like Russia and China have been accumulating gold for over a few years, given that they are much more impacted due to trade uncertainty as compared to India due to our lesser external linkages. RBI, like other central banks, seems to think that it's prudent to diversify some of its dollar reserves to gold. Given the uncertainty surrounding policymaking, gold can be the asset that cannot be controlled by the whims and fancies of any policymaker. Pause right there, because that pertains to you. This is how you achieve economic independence wherever you are. Given the uncertainty surrounding policymaking, gold can be the asset that cannot be controlled by the whims and fancies of any policymaker. That right there sums up one of the key reasons for gold ownership for anybody, anywhere, at any time. It's, again, that same sentiment, it goes across all timeline. I mean, it doesn't matter what part of history you occupy and in what location on the planet, that very statement pertains to a key reason for owning gold. We expect that the central bank's diversification of reserves will continue, given the uncertainty surrounding policymaking vis-a-vis the U.S., which prompts it to reduce its reliance on the dollar. Again, that's a key point for everyone as well. I don't care if you're where you are. Get out of the dollar-denominated assets. Get out of it. You have to start protecting yourself and creating an insurance policy against the U.S. dollar. Lessons for investors. When the central bank buys gold, you may also buy gold. To put it another way, just like RBI, you need to gauge the direction in which the world markets and economies are headed. Relook at your risk management practices and diversify your investments by parking 10 to 15% of your money in gold. I believe 50 plus or more. We've read articles on that. We covered it recently. Like it has helped central banks during times of stress, it has also helped common citizens during times of financial distress. Importantly, overall, gold aids in stability of returns of a portfolio and brings respite during bad times. The other ability of gold is to maintain value over long time periods. So how do you go about it? Well, if you have bought enough gold, stay with it. If not, use any correction as an opportunity to add gold to your portfolio. Or ideally, keep allocating to gold in a systematic approach and build your allocation over the next 6 to 12 months. I would say 6 to 12 years. Just keep buying it. Keep stacking gold. This is a really good article, and I kind of stumbled upon it on accident when exploring some of the news related to what's taking place in India. So for those of you who actually stick around to the end of the videos, you got the best article here. This was the best one. The other one, yeah, there's problems in the Bank of India. Some examples you can take from that. Don't have a lot of money in your bank. Get your money out when things start looking shaky. Hopefully you can beat the crowds to it. But this article here on gold ownership at the time we're living in and some of the key reasons to purchase it by looking at what central banks are doing, to me it was a gem. It was one of those articles that just really made you feel good as a stacker reading it. So there you go. Hope you guys can keep on stacking the yellow, archaic, and barbarous relic. If you enjoyed your time here today on the Junius Malpe channel, let me know by hitting that like button, the subscribe button, by sharing the video. It always helps when you guys share these because we bring in new people to the channel to join the conversation. And if you want to look for some of the new Junius Malpe stuff that we added as far as clothing, the most boring clothing you'll ever find, it's down below. You should see a link to Teespring. There's different shirts in there. Some have the coins, some don't. So you'll have to take a look. So a lot of them have the Liberty symbol, the emoji symbol. And we've got a nice selection of 2 different mug styles on there. I know some of you wanted the mug with the coin on it. So we did that with the coin and the emoji symbol. Some with just the emoji symbol. So go ahead and take a look there. And if there's something you don't see that you want, let me know. I'll try to figure out. We got some other designs coming. There you go. Hope you guys enjoyed the channel today. I'll be working on some other stories later. Thanks.